Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this HCTalk podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lance Gormley, and our guest on the program once again is Dale with Kairos Prison Ministry, specifically outside. How you doing today, Dale?
I'm doing awesome.
Good. I'm glad to have you back on the program. You've been out here before. For people that don't know, you can go back through the archives. Dale, I think, has been out here twice. 2 times.
Yeah.
So now you can be a 3-time champion out here. But we really appreciate on the program Kairos Prison Ministry. I think that it has a tremendous value in being able to serve individuals who are affected through incarceration. And it's what you're doing is pretty unique. For the audience, Kairos is a nonprofit organization, so everything they get is through donations or activities that involve them being able to raise some kind of funds somehow. Anywho, you guys have some things coming up, but first, for those that don't know and have not gone back through and listened to the other podcasts, which I would encourage you to do if you want to get a little bit more in depth, Dale, would you just give a brief overview of what Kairos Prison Ministry is, and then maybe some of the differences, because there's a few different factions that you all have and people that you serve?
Kairos there's 3 ministries or 3 programs within the Kairos Prison Ministry International. We've got the umbrella organization itself, and then there's 3 ministries under that. There's Kairos Inside, which deals with men that are incarcerated. And then there's Kairos Torch, which is for youth that are incarcerated. And then there's the Women's Inside, which is for the women that are incarcerated in Topeka. And then there's Kairos Outside, which I've been involved with for roughly 15 years, on and off. And that is a ministry for women that have been impacted by incarceration. Either their loved ones are in prison or have been in prison at one time, or they themselves have been in prison. So that's what I do, is I help out with that. And, being a man on a woman's ministry, a lot of people think, well, how does this work? Well, my part is I, along with the team that I've got, we prepare the meals for the women throughout the whole weekend. It is a 2.5-day ministry, so it starts Friday night and that goes through Sunday evening. So not only do we prepare the meals for them, but we pray for the guests throughout the whole weekend. The team members itself, we pray for them through the whole weekend. There's a series of talks and stuff that goes on. So we pray them, what we call pray them up before they do their talks. And then we'll pray them down when they get through doing the talks. So it's not that we're just there to cook for them the whole weekend. We're there to support them in prayer.
Yeah, but what's primarily the group of individuals that are on the team, I would say your team, but on the team, doing what you do is really making sure that the what needs to happen in the background is happening in the background.
Correct. In a way, we're kind of the hidden spectrum of what takes place for the weekend, especially Friday night, because the women get there and some of them they have no idea what's going on. They don't want to be there. They're scared to death. So the last thing I need to do is see a guy that's there also, especially if they've been in a situation with their loved one or whoever that's been abusive. So they don't need to see us there on Friday night.
Yeah.
But it is a ecumenical ministry, which means that as long as you're a Christian, you can be on team. We're not picky about what denomination you come from, as long as you've got a Christian-based background to you or whatnot. And because we want to do what the Lord wants us to do on the weekend. It's not about us. So all of our differences and everything else, when we come together for a weekend, we just put that all aside, and it's all about doing what the Lord wants us to do. We do have a program manual that we comply with, what we call staying in the riverbanks. So
Nobody's gotten in any fist fights making goulash over whether you're a Catholic or a Methodist or a Mennonite.
Not that I can remember anyway.
That's interesting too, because and I mean, I just got to interject this, right? In my own personal opinion, when there's so many differences between faith organizations in general, and then you take denominationalism, right, or even Catholicism or any of those, there are some differences in beliefs there. But the fact that everybody can say, hey, it doesn't matter about my maybe interpretation here or your interpretation there, that it's not about us. It's about these people that we're serving. And this allows us to put down our own, I don't want to call it an ego, but our own ego and say, hey, we're not here for this. We're here to serve these people.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And then part of that is there's 36 hours of training that we have to go through every single time we do a weekend. So, and the reason for that is it's all about community coming together as unity to find out, are we going to be compatible with each other throughout the whole weekend? Are we going to be able to do what our program manual asks us to do in leading these women through the weekend? Because if not, you're not going to have a productive weekend. The women are going to pick up on this stuff, and you're going to get the wrong spirit in there, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
So
I like to see, and it's one of the reasons why I support Kairos, is because two things. It's very specific, a niche, of course, right? And you don't hear a lot about prison ministry in general. Right? These are people that, by and large, have made some poor decisions, right? And if they're gone far enough to be incarcerated for that, then regardless of whether they have a direct victim, they have a lot of indirect victims. And for women who either have traversed down that path and found themselves incarcerated, or just being a mother, a daughter, a wife, a sister, it's horribly impactful in so many ways for them. And then there's, like you had talked about before in the program, a lot of stigma surrounding it. Nobody's going out and being like, hey, my dad went to prison, or my brother's in prison. It's not something that they wear as a badge of honor. In some instances, it's a pretty shameful thing. And the second thing that I wanted to mention is, although there are ministries that work in unison with one another, as far as different churches or different denominations, to see individuals do that speaks volumes about the program itself. But with what you all have going on, and I had mentioned that it is a nonprofit, and I know this from having you all out here on the program and hearing the story and stuff, but for people that are listening that maybe this is your first touch with this, being a nonprofit, especially today, is very difficult. I hear it all across the board, right? That where there might be an opportunity for people to donate funds because they believe in a specific ministry. Well, there's not as many dollars going around today as what there has been in the past. And another thing that I really find interesting about what you all do is you find ways to have value to being able to raise funds. And I know you guys have some things coming up, and that's the main reason why you're at here on the program, Dale. So what are some upcoming events that you all have that people can help you all achieve the goal of ministering Christ to those who are affected by incarceration?
Yeah, this ministry takes quite a bit of money. I mean, and over the years, because of everything that's going on, the price of everything is just going up. So I am the fundraiser coordinator, and it really can become a full-time job, quite honestly. And so the next thing we've got coming up is we've got a soup dinner and a dessert auction, which is a fundraiser, and it's coming up in February 21st at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be at Newton Christian Church. And it's it's an interesting evening. We've actually got an auctioneer that's going to be there, and we've got like 6 different soups. And the soup is we just ask for donations for the soup, and then when it comes time later on in the evening, we'll have a speaker, and she will share. This is someone. Lisa is someone that. She was impacted by incarceration herself, and she was on a weekend. And because of the way that it impacted her, she is now serving on our team. And that's what happens a lot. When people, when these guests see the benefit that they've gained from being on a weekend, they want to turn around and give back to other women and say, hey, you don't have to go through this isolation and rejection on your own. You know, there's people that want to support you. So anyway, she's going to be our speaker. And then later on in the evening, that's when we do the dessert auction. And like I said, we've got an actual auctioneer that does it.
Local favorite.
It gets, yes.
Carson,
definitely. Yeah. It gets interesting when you may have a pie that goes for $250 for a pie or whatever, but it's about fun, and it's about giving, to the ministry. And it's just a fun evening. But that's what we got in February. And then in June, we have what we call, some people just call it a garage sale, but I call it a rummage sale.
Okay. Because
we get so much stuff. It's a rummage and bake sale that we have, and it's going to be over in Hutchinson at First. I can't even think of the name of it. First Church of God in Hutchinson. So that's on June. It's going to be June 19th and 20th, which is Friday and Saturday. On Friday, it's going to be from 8 to 6 p.m., 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then on Saturday, it'll be from 8 a.m. till roughly 12 or 1 p.m.
So it's like a community sale.
Yep.
So people, and I know this from in the past when we talked, people donate things to Kairos in order for them to turn around and be able to sell it to raise funds for keeping the ministry going.
Exactly, yeah. We open it up to the public, and we try and get people to bring things, donate things, as you just mentioned. So we've got a gymnasium that we hold it in, and we usually fill it full of stuff. So there's a lot of things there. And like I said, we do have baked goods that we'll have there as well. So, and one thing else that we do when we have that rummage sale is we'll sell what we call meal tickets as well. And these meal tickets, we usually ask for like $10 for a meal ticket. And what this does is it's an actual piece of paper, a ticket that will be filled out with your name, your first name only on there. And then what we do when the weekend comes up, these pieces of paper, these tickets will be placed on the tables where the women set for dinner or breakfast or whatever the case is. So throughout the whole weekend, we'll take these pieces of paper at random of whoever's donated and put these on the table. Well, what that does, and it says on there, this individual has donated towards your cause for the weekend and whatnot. So it lets the women know that, hey, you've got the community behind you on this. Yeah. They're helping support you, during this weekend. So we'll have those for sale there at the rummage sale as well. But and then the next thing is our annual banquet fundraiser, and that is October the 17th, and we're going to have it at Hayesville United Methodist Church this time, and it starts at 6 p.m., 6 to 8:30 p.m. On average, and we'll have a guest speaker for that evening as well. This is our biggest fundraiser for the year, and we set a pretty high goal for the evening to try and raise money, and that is, we usually set it at $16,000. And Well, we have 2 weekends a year, and now on average, it's costing us anywhere from approximately $7,000 to $8,000 per weekend. So it gets pretty expensive, and the cost is it covers a facility that we have to rent. It covers the food for the meals. It covers lodging. It covers supplies that we need for the weekend. So it covers quite a bit.
But nobody's getting paid. Coming back to
Nobody's
this,
getting
right?
paid.
Every dollar that somebody donates goes directly back into serving the needs, right, of these weekends that are serving these ladies. That's quite a return on investment if you're looking to donate to a nonprofit that, you wonder where's my dollar going, right?
Yeah, I think we are in 36 states. The organization is in 36 states, the Kairos ministry itself. And then the latest international country would be Nigeria, that they just had a weekend a few months back. So there's like 9 countries, international countries that Kairos is in as well.
Wow.
So there's a lot of people out there doing this ministry. Yeah. And, like you said, it's volunteers.
Volunteers.
So.
Yeah. Okay, Dale, so if I'm somebody that I'm hearing this and that you all are providing opportunities, or I'm a member of a church, or I'm just hearing this, what if I wanted to go to my church congregation and I said, hey, I heard about this ministry and I want to know what we as a church can do just to maybe donate a little bit to help this ministry, find out more about this ministry, maybe have somebody come and talk about the ministry with the congregation, or I'm somebody that's like, well, I don't have time for all that. I just want to be able to donate because I believe in the cause. How would somebody go about contacting you all in order to either just donate some funds if they can't be there during these different events? Obviously, encourage them to be there during these events, at least one or all, right? Mm-hmm. Is fine. But otherwise, if they're just a member of a congregation, when they go talk to their leadership about it, how do they contact you, Dale?
Okay, if you want to simply donate and not, if you can't make it to one of the events that's coming up or whatever, if you just want to donate, what you could do is call this number at 316-706-3330, or you can simply go online and go to KS and then Kairos, KAIROS.org. So it's KS or KansasKairos.org/outside. And from there you can get on there and you can actually donate on there. And we're actually in the process, I'm in the process of the headquarters, and everybody's doing this now, and it's the QR code stuff. So I'm in the process of trying to set up a QR code on like all of our flyers and everything else. So we're going to be able to distribute that thing out there to where you can just click on that and make a donation to that. So, and we do have a speakers bureau that if you want us to come out to a church or someplace, doesn't have to be a church, but if there's an organization that wants to know more about this, we can come out, speakers bureau, a couple of us, and share about the ministry, and then we can give you more information then. So, but I wanted to say that we do have a weekend. The next weekend for the guest is March 13th through the 15th.
It's coming up pretty fast.
Yeah.
Okay, Dale, if somebody's listening to this podcast right now, and this may be the first time they're hearing about it, or they've heard about it before, or whatever the case may be, why would you personally encourage them to either give of their time, talents, money, in order to support what you all are doing?
Well, if you are in the position that I am on being able to serve on a weekend, you would see the impact that it has on the women. These women come to a weekend, and they've dealt with for most of their life after someone has been incarcerated is they live an isolated life. They don't want a lot of people knowing that they've got somebody in prison, or they themselves have been in prison, so they don't really talk about it. So there's a lot of rejection that happens. So when you experience, if you were to experience what these women, the transformation that takes place on a weekend, and see the new person that they are and the new hopes, desires, and dreams that they've got when they come out of a weekend on Sunday, you would know the impact that it has and the benefit that it has. So it's just a blessing to be able to donate and to give to a ministry that has such a beneficial impact to the women, because it not only changes them, but it impacts their community, the place where they work. You know, the people in the workplace are gonna start seeing a different person that they are. They start affecting the community around them, the church that they may choose to go to. They just starts impacting everything around them, and they've got a totally different demeanor. So to be able to be a part of that, to donate, it's pretty huge.
Yeah. Okay. Just wrapping this up, Dale, you know that when we get to the end of the program, I like to say that you get to speak directly to the hearts and the minds of everybody listening, or give a final word of some kind. If you would include in that some way to reach out once again of how to contact you all and learn a little bit more about what you all do and who you all serve, and just be able to share that information to somebody else, or maybe share this podcast. What do you got for us, Dale?
Well, the whole thing is, the whole ministry is about sharing the love of Christ with these women, period. And some of the women that come there on the weekends, they don't know the Lord, and some of them don't want anything to do with the Lord. But they've got a totally different demeanor after the weekend. You know, it's cool as can be to see what happens with some of these weekend. And if there are guests out there, or women out there that want to become guests for the weekend, the webpage that I mentioned a while ago, they can go to that, which is KS, or Kansas, Kairos, KAIROS.org. And then it's /outside. If you go to that webpage, then there on that webpage is a place where you can register for the weekend and fill out a form, and you'll be set up to be able to attend as a guest for the weekend. You can even do that for the weekend coming up in March, the 13th to the 15th. So there's plenty of time to do that.
Too late. I tell you, Dale, one of the reasons why I'm so supportive of this, it has a lot to do with the testimonials that I've heard from people who have experienced this firsthand, right? You know, and I myself even at times had questioned, does it really have the impact? I mean, does it really, you know, because I'm a critical thinking guy, right? And once you hear the testimonials of people who have gone through a weekend, it'll change your perspective entirely.
Well, it does, and that's the reason I'm still doing this 15 years later. Yeah, it's a lot of work. There's a lot to do to prep for a weekend, especially, you know, me being like the kitchen. They just call me the kitchen chef.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Kitchen manager, Dale.
So anyway, but there's a lot to do. There's a lot to prepare for, and especially the 36 hours of training every single time we do a weekend. That's a huge commitment. but it's so worth it. You know, when you get to that Sunday afternoon, like I said, and you see the transformation that takes place with these women, it's like, you know, if you're a human being, you can't sit there on the closing ceremony on Sunday and listen to these guests and not have a dry eye. It's huge. I mean, it's hard to take on hearing some of these women. They'll flat out say that they didn't want to be there, and you know, then they'll share about the impact it had on them, and you know, there's been a couple of times where some of the guests even say, "Can I take you home to be my cook?" So,
I love it.
It's like, no, you can't do that, but I could send you some recipes.
I love it. I love it. All right, Dale. I appreciate you once again coming out on the program to share about Kairos and what you all do and who you all serve. I'm hoping that this is just another way that people will be able to hear more about it, hear upcoming events, and know what they can do and where they can go to contribute in some way, some form, some fashion. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, just like to thank everybody for listening to this episode of HC Talk. As always, I was your host, Lance Gormley, and our special guest for the third time on the program is Dale with Kairos Outside, also affectionately known as Dale, the kitchen manager.
And Happy New Year to all.
Happy New Year.
All right.
Have a good one, everybody.